Well, howdy there, folks and fellow tubers. Howdy do to all of you. How are you all doing? And in today's video, we're not doing so much a gaming video, but a video that talks about a very fascinating natural phenomenon that occurred a couple billion years ago in a region called Aklo in the country that is now Gabon, West Africa. And this is naturally occurring nuclear fission reactors, which are uranium deposits that have undergone these self-sustaining nuclear fission chain reactions, essentially. And in fact, this phenomenon was predicted by a Japanese-American scientist by the name of Paul Kazuo Kuroda, who somehow managed to predict that certain conditions could allow for these naturally occurring atomic reactors to take place and whatnot. And so, I'm not going to read this word by word because, unfortunately, Wikipedia considers that rather scrummy, as they said in their page. Luckily, this is a free and public source, and I am showing a video of it here, but, yeah, unfortunately, that might earn me a copyright strike. So, probably don't want to do that. But anyhow, this thing would have generated about roughly 100 kilowatts of thermal power during its 100,000 years of operation, or maybe millions of years of operation, in that time range, though. But anyhow, so how these naturally occurring nuclear fission reactors would work is that groundwater, perhaps from large rainstorms, would flood and inundate the uranium ore mineral deposits, and this would then act as a sort of neutron moderator that would slow the neutrons of the naturally occurring fission reaction down. And so eventually, this naturally occurring nuclear fission reaction would make things get hot, and this would cause the groundwater to get hot, boil away, and evaporate. Sort of like what happens at volcanic areas like Yellowstone National Park with Old Faithful or Springboat Geyser. I think that's what one of them called. I know there's one called Old Faithful, but rather than, of course, the geysers being heated by magma-heated rocks underground, it's the heat from the nuclear fission reaction of the uranium ore deposit that causes the water to boil away and evaporate. And 3 hours later, the water would come flooding and rushing back in, and the nuclear reaction would boot right back up again. And then, of course, the water would evaporate away and boil, doing this in a sort of on and off thing in a sort of 3-hour interval, if you will. And it was doing this for hundreds of thousands of years, again, not millions of years. What's fascinating is how, in spite of all that time it's been in operation, this thing never once had an explosion nor a meltdown, unlike our man-made reactors. And yes, it's also generated nuclear waste, but luckily for us human beings today, Mother Nature has somehow managed to keep it safely stored deep underground for a couple billion years without it having any radiation or fission products that leak out into the environment, if you will. And that's pretty impressive. In fact, a lot of people think we human beings could learn something from Mother Nature and how she was somehow able to keep the nuclear waste products somehow safely underground without its radioactivity leaking out into the environment, of course. Because who knows how long-lasting that stuff could have made everything radioactive had it not managed to do that. Anyhow, there's this YouTuber named Illinois Energy Professor who made a really awesome video regarding this subject matter, essentially. And, but I'm not going to show it here because, of course, it's against copyright law to do that, and that could, of course, earn me a copyright strike. And considering the fact that I'm still a fairly small YouTube channel, I can't afford to be having copyright strikes on my channel. Which is also, again, why I didn't read this whole thing word by word. But let's go ahead and look at this graph here. Okay, so number 1 is the nuclear reactor zones, where you can see it, the blackish spots. Number 2 is the sandstone. Number 3 is the ore layer, as you can see. Number 4 is the granite. And so this is roughly how a graph for these natural nuclear reactors look. And there's other ones online. In fact, I'm going to look it up here quickly. And even though I can't show the videos, that video by Illinois Energy Professor, I am putting a link to that video in my video description for this video, as well as a link to the Wikipedia page that describes this natural phenomenon. Unfortunately, there are some people, because of a guy named Glenn T. Seaborg, that thinks that human beings made this nuclear reactor 1.7 or 8 billion years ago, even though that's ridiculous, because there were no human beings alive at the time to make that. This was long before human beings showed up on planet Earth, which is pretty stupid and pretty ridiculous, if you ask me. I know there's one around here. Let's see. That's a cool looking radioactive rock. I'm gonna punch in Oklo. Maybe it will be more likely to. Or let's try something here. One really cool looking. Oh, and also, those Old Faithful like geysers, those are called nuclear geysers because of the fact that they're geysers powered by heat from the nuclear chain reactions of these uranium deposits. And that's, again, hence the fact that they're called nuclear geysers that act in a similar manner, as I said earlier in this video, to Old Faithful at Yellowstone National Park. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and punch in Oklo, because maybe I'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. Oh, here's the picture I was looking for. So there, again, is the nuclear reactor zones, which is the bluish-looking crystal stuff. There's the sandstone, which is the sandy-looking brown stuff. And there's the ore layer, which is the deep blue stuff, obviously groundwater. And then there's granite. As this thing at the bottom says, the Oklo reactor in Gabon, West Africa, is the only known natural nuclear reactor site on Earth. In fact, there were 16 sites. There were 16, I think, natural nuclear fission reactors at this site in Africa. So the one I was talking about is not the only one, which is so fascinating to realize. And the reason these reactors were able to operate a long time ago is because there was a greater abundance of uranium-235. Because we have to remember, uranium-235 is the fissile stuff. It's the only stuff that can undergo nuclear reactions, unlike uranium-238, for example. And this is, yeah, just fascinating stuff. Because who would ever think that nuclear reactors could exist in nature, because they're, again, generally the most man-made thing one could simply imagine. In fact, I drew up a picture of what I think a natural nuclear reactor would look like, but I'll show that to everyone on YouTube when I've got that finished, drawn, and colored in. And in fact, I also have an account on DeviantArt, so I'm going to go ahead and upload that picture to DeviantArt, because it's not fan art of anything, because it's a picture of my own creation showing a fictional natural nuclear reactor. Anyhow, I just thought this would be a cool video to make, folks, so I believe that will end it here. But if you like this video, please hit the like button below, and if you want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button below. Till next time, I shall see you all later, as I am Nuclear Skull87. I will be sure to have the Conmiker fight for my Doom Eternal video up and at it. Till then, again, I am Nuclear Skull87. More importantly, though, stay safe, happy, and healthy in this period of pandemic and protest. Amen.